From Alabama, let's move on to some social media questions. We've got one from Instagram.
This one comes from Judith. Why do we spend so much time trying to be nice and accepted by everyone else? What compels us to do this, and how can we change it?
Well, I don't think the answer to change it is to start being mean.
It's the fastest option.
That'd be a heck of a mind shift. If I just wake up today and just start yelling at everyone here.
Tired of being nice.
And it feels good to be accepted, right? But it also feels freeing to accept the fact that you won't be accepted by everyone. The paradox here is that we try to appease everyone and we end up displeasing ourselves. Can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah. Ironically, when a person asks a question like that, that's usually not their struggle. And really, really genuinely kind people are rare because it's an art form where they have an inner peace that they bring everywhere they go. And so I don't think we have an epidemic of too many kind people.
Have you checked in with Twitter lately?
Right. I'm just saying that, I would love to see an epidemic of kindness.
Amen.
I do think sometimes we have a malady of niceness where we're nice but not kind, where we're afraid so we don't act. And one of the things, you want to make sure that you are kind, but not necessarily always nice. Sometimes you need to have strength and courage and a confidence that lets you know that you shouldn't be pushed around and that you have rights and that you need to be treated with respect. But you can always do it with incredible kindness. Ironically, one of the goals I made in my life like 30 years ago is I wanted to be the kindest person in the world. And I didn't make a goal to be the richest person or the most famous person or the most intelligent person, but I actually set like my intention in my life over 30 years ago that I wanted to be the kindest person in the world. Because I felt like kindness was a superpower, that you can only be kind if you're actually dangerous. You can only be kind if you're actually strong. If you're not strong, if you're not in a sense dangerous, you're not kind, you're just weak. I wanted to be the strongest human being possible and the kindest person in the world. And so I want to say the flip side. I want an epidemic of kindness. I want us, maybe to go overboard in the way we treat each other with love and respect.
Yeah, I never look in the rear view and say, I wish I would have been less kind last month. I wish I would have been less generous. Now, there is a difference. I like you make this distinction between a nice person and a kind person. A lot of nice people aren't very kind.
Yeah.
There's a facade. There's like sort of the big fake smile. And it's saying something to you in person that they're going to say the complete opposite when they walk out of the room or when you walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And so they're actually being unkind in a way because they're not being honest. They're not being truthful with you. They are battering you with their niceness. But as soon as you walk away, there's a lot of the unkindness manifest.
By the way, everyone here at the Minimalists is so kind.
Oh.
You have a culture of kindness, which I think it's one of the reasons why you've been incredibly successful. Is, you're obviously very talented and very intelligent, but I think you emit to the world a frequency of kindness that draws people in and trusts you because of it.
We love people for sure, and we have these conversations all the time about how elastic is my love? Is it possible to? We were just talking to Sean about this morning. Is it possible to love someone who's a Nazi and completely disagree with everything that they believe in, that they care about? But is it still possible to be loving to them? I wouldn't be nice to that person. But can I love them? And maybe the kind thing to do to that person is to not simply nod and smile with their beliefs. Now, it's easy to say that about that person, about the people on the sort of periphery, on the edges. But what about the person you simply disagree with because they wear a different jersey from you or they vote for a different politician or whatever it might be? TK, what say you?
Your distinction makes me think of the difference between being funny and laughing and having a sense of humor. Laughter is an act. I can do it at any time, but I can laugh without having a sense of humor. And I can also have a sense of humor without laughing all the time, right? Kind of just the interesting difference. But, it feels nice to be thought of as nice. And I don't think it's some great mystery as to why we make a priority out of it. Being nice is kind of like being thought of as pretty. Is anyone ever offended when someone says, "You look good"? You look amazing. That's pretty hard to get offended by, unless they say it in a way that lacks tact. But that's kind of what nice is like. When someone thinks you're nice, it just feels nice. The problem with niceness is that it's an external measurement.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that someone else gets to decide about you. It's really an answer to the question of, do you find this person to be pleasant? You don't get to say if you're nice or not. That's other people's decision. I can say I'm trying to be nice, but you get to decide if I'm nice. But I think life really becomes something when you can take the power back and you can think about the things that are in your control. Am I healthy? Am I well? Am I generous? Am I anchored in my values, right? Like, I don't want to be nice. It's nice to be thought of as such, but I'd rather be generous. I'd rather be anchored in my core. I'd rather be loving. I'd rather be healthy, because those are the things that I can do. I can be thought of as nice, but be unhappy on the inside, be unhealthy on the inside, lack generosity, but just be good at the rituals that cause me to show up in other people's world as harmless, pleasant, unthreatening, and so on.
Or when Mind Shift 3, you can't take everyone with you. Part of that is accepting that not everyone is going to accept you.
And that was a hard chapter for me to write. And one of the things in each chapter is that every chapter is something I struggled with and maybe still struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think you make a shift and then you're permanently in that new space.
Yeah.
At least that's not my experience. I go back and forth. I'm like a fan. And,
it's a calibration.
Yeah, I'm an oscillating fan. I go back and forth sometimes, and I try to take everyone with me almost compulsively. And either people I love that my life, it just keeps honestly surprising me. I end up with new waves and new opportunities and new expansion, and I always want to take everyone with me. And I think sometimes even people I love have to say to me, "Hey, I don't want to go with you. I just don't want to go there." And because with me, like family members, when I have success, I want them to have success, but success requires a level of discipline and sacrifice and inconvenience, and I realize, I want them to have success, but they see the sacrifice, the inconvenience, the discipline required. They don't want that. And they would be happy to get some of the benefit of the success, but they don't want to take on the infrastructure for that life. The reality is, every time you try to elevate in your life, there are some people who get to tap out. They actually get to tap out from the momentum of your life and go, yeah, that's not me. Or I don't want that. Or that's just too much. And I call myself a soft type A. I am a very driven, intense, focused human being. And I had learned early on, that's not what everyone loves, for their life. And I remember I had this couple, and he was a Harvard grad, she was a Duke grad, so they were like brilliant. And they were Kim and my friends for at least a year, and we tried to really bring them into our home and befriend them. And about a year later, we didn't see them as much. They're still a part of our community, but we could tell they're not as close to us. So I went to them and I said, "Hey, we want to talk to you." We talked to them. I said, "You guys are amazing. Like, you're incredible people, but we could tell that you didn't feel comfortable staying close to us." They said, "Every time we're with you, we feel that we should be more." And that level of intensity of being more, we're just not ready for in our life.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, so you chose to have like a different friend circle that wants less?" And they go, "Yes." And I said, "I can accept that. Like, I'm good with that, because I'm not even finished yet." And I'm not even finished exploring and expanding and pressing to see what I'm capable of. And I had to make the hard psychological decision in my life. You can love people that don't go with you. And you don't have to think of them as less. You don't have to feel betrayed by them. My wife's like, "They said they're going to be with us for life." I said, "And they meant it in those 5 minutes."
Yes. Yes.
But honey, there are some people that you can't go with because their direction isn't your direction. And there's some people that just can't go with you because your direction isn't their direction. And we have to give people the freedom to be who they're supposed to be. And so you can't take everyone with you, even when you love them. And you have to accept that.
In fact, it would be unloving to drag them kicking and screaming in your direction. No,
I tried.
I love you for that. Just admitting that, right? Yeah.
I'm going to convince you. I'm going to persuade you. I'm going to make you change your mind. But of course, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, as Dale Carnegie says. I hope you enjoyed that highlight from the Minimalist Private Podcast. If you'd like another highlight, check out this video. If you'd like to watch the minimal episode, check out this video. Or if you'd like to dive deep into full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, head on over to Patreon. The link is in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.